Hi everyone, and thanks for joining me. In this week's video, I'm going to be talking about a precognition. And what I mean by precognition is seeing a future event before it happens. Now, it actually is a scientific word for the group of abilities that allow us to perceive or know future events that doesn't include information that we get from our five senses. Now, on the other hand, a premonition is the thing that you see. So the word premonition has Latin roots, pri or pre meaning before, and mone to warn. So precognition speaks to the ability, with the premonition being the product of it. At this point, I want to thank the many people that talked to me this week and last week about having precognitive dreams. You inspired me to create this video, so thank you. I know precognition sounds fantastic. I mean, who wouldn't want to see future events? However, for the people that seek me out for help, it's far from fantastic. In fact, it can be frustrating, sometimes disturbing, and even frightening. You see, most people ask me for help. They're often getting a preview of an event that isn't a happy one. And most often it's related to the death of a loved one or something somewhere in the world where people are going to lose their life, a big disaster. Now, we know that our dreams are a way of our subconsciousness kind of communicating with us and helps us to sort things out that we're not fully conscious of. However, they can also predict or let us know of an impending event. And full transparency, precognitive dreams are not something that I typically experience. So I'm not talking from my own kind of experience, but I have talked to hundreds of people that do have precognitive dreams and helped many of them understand what's happening, why it's happening, and most importantly, I've helped them to find a way to live with this ability successfully. Now, a lot of people experience precognition in dreams, and this makes it hard to work out if this is your own subconscious speaking, or are you in fact tapping into some future event? And for some, precognition can happen in a wakened state with strong feelings of impending doom or foreboding, or just a sense of knowing something as a precursor for something happening. Now, according to research, it's suggested that more than half the population has a precognition ability. However, I've come to realize that precognition is something that we're all capable of, and probably we do it more than we actually realize. For some, it does happen or seem to happen more often, or perhaps they're the ones that are paying attention to their dreams more than others. Another reason why some people don't report having a precognitive dream is their belief. So if they're simply not open to the fact that it might be possible, and they're discounting the dreams that they're having. So if you have experienced precognitive dreams, you are in some pretty cool company, as there are very famous people who have experienced precognitive dreams. So Abraham Lincoln, 2 weeks before his assassination, he described a recent dream that he had to his wife and a few of his close friends. Now, he dreamed of walking through the White House until he came upon his own corpse. It was guarded and it was lying in state in the East Room. And this was exactly where his casket rested after his death. Even Carl Jung, he also reported at least 3 precognitive events, one being the death of his mother. An interesting account of precognition that I found was a disaster that happened in a small mining town in Wales called Aberfan. On the 21st of October 1966, the spoil from the mine, which had been dumped on top of a large hill nearby, It came sliding down as kind of muddy slurry and into the town with so much force that it killed 116 children and 28 adults. It was a national tragedy. When psychiatrist John Barker visited the town, he spoke to many of the residents, and he discovered that many of them had experienced some sort of premonition about the disaster beforehand. Even some of the children who had died had mentioned dreams and premonitions of dying in the days before the landslide. On the eve of the disaster, there was an 8-year-old boy called Paul Davies. Now, he'd drawn masses of figures kind of digging in the hillside, and underneath the words were "the end." Now, sadly, he died in the school that was submerged. Barker also heard the story of Errol May Jones, who was a 10-year-old girl who apparently wasn't given to fanciful imagination, and she told her mum 2 weeks before the collapse that she was not afraid to die. There was also an account written by Gallant Jones, who was a local minister, and it was signed by Errol May's parents and later published by Barker. And this account said that the day before the disaster, she'd said to her mum, "Let me tell you about a dream that I had last night." And her mum had kind of, answered, "I've got no time, so tell me again later." But the child insisted and said, "No, you must listen." So I dreamt that I went to school and there was no school there. Something black had come down all over it. Now, Barker was a member of the British Society for Psychical Research, and this was founded in 1882 specifically to investigate the paranormal. And in a paper for the SBR's journal, he wrote that, even if people had experienced a plausible prophecy of what happened in Aberfan, there had been no way to report a warning, let alone for it to be believed. He said, firstly, because the premonitions would probably have been in insufficient detail and clarity, and secondly, no means existed for them to communicate to the proper authorities. And there lies the singularly most frustrating things that I hear from people who do have a precognition of yet to come disasters. What do they mean? Where and when will this happen? And what can I do to prevent this? People feel hopeless and helpless. And if you resonate with this, you're not alone. People like you are out there, and you're not a freak. As I said before, not all precognition occurs in dreams. For some, they experience feelings of impending doom so strongly that they stop what they're doing and they change direction. Barrett Naylor was a Wall Street executive. On the morning of February 26, 1993, he was on his way to work at the World Trade Center. When he reached Grand Central Station, he had a sudden and unmistakable feeling of foreboding that he couldn't describe. And it was something that he couldn't explain, and it told him to turn around and go back home. And he did just that. And it probably saved his life, because at 12:17 p.m. that day, a bomb exploded in the center, killing 6 people and injuring over 1,000. And because of Naylor's decision, he wasn't amongst them. Crazy story, but it gets crazier. Just over 8.5 years later, on September the 11th, 2001, Naylor was once again getting ready for work in the World Trade Center. Now, he got the same feeling as he had in 1993, and he simply went home, just like he'd previously done. And he avoided being caught up in one of the world's most terrible terrorist attacks, 9/11. To this day, he's grateful that he received the premonitions, but he also feels guilty that he was unable to help others. If you check out the internet, you'll find many accounts of precognition occurring. So again, I want to say to you, you are not alone and you're not crazy. Despite this, mainstream science still resists the possibility of precognition being a thing. And they've got many explanations backed up by their research that points to a number of things that might be going on. One of those is selective recall. So this is when an event in your daily life appears to parallel something that happened in a dream. And what they say is that you're more likely to remember the similarities than note the differences, and there's some validity in that. Or you can put together a selection of unrelated events and match them to something that you dreamed about. And then, of course, there's good old coincidence, which I don't believe in. The good news is that there are many credible scientists and scholars that are researching and reporting on this phenomenon. And they're finding evidence to support that this ability exists. Now, one of these is Julia Mosbridge. She's a PhD and a fellow of the Institute of Noetic Scientists. She's also a visiting scholar in the psychology department at Northwestern University. She's the science director at Focus at Will Labs and an associate professor in integral and transpersonal psychology at the California Institute of Integral Studies. So she's credible. And her groundbreaking book, The Premonition Code, is a must-read if you have this ability, and I'll provide a link in the description below. For many of the scientists who are studying this phenomena, precognition makes logical sense. So they postulate that early humans will have had a heightened nervous system that was fine-tuned for sensing danger. It really made the difference between life and death at that time. So they're suggesting that there may be a way that we could somehow prepare for important imminent events by activating the nervous system before they actually happen. And their studies suggest that precognition is a normal ability that can be approached scientifically and can help us all in our everyday lives. Now, that's one explanation, but some physicists have an alternative one. So physicists don't agree with a simple flow of time existing. In fact, they suggest that we don't really have a clear grasp on the rules of time at all. So from the rules of causality, meaning an action taken changes what happens next, to the relationship between time and space, physicists and quantum mechanics are offering intriguing explanations of what might be going on. So again, full disclosure, I don't have a particularly strong science brain, but quantum mechanics and quantum physics fascinate me. And I've been known to go down a few rabbit holes on YouTube and in books about these topics. If you're interested in metaphysics from a quantum mechanics and quantum physics perspective and you don't have a science brain, I'd highly recommend Lynn McTaggart, who does a great job of presenting the science to people with non-scientific minds like me. And Greg Braden is another one who does a great job of this as well, and there are others. And by the way, the book that I recommended, The Premonition Code, does a fantastic job of that as well. A final explanation can be found in the existence of multi-dimensions that occur simultaneously. The multiverse is believed by many, and it means there are many different realities that play themselves out at the same time. And through some sort of hypnagogic state, either in sleep or awake, we're able to tap into these and view an event. And this is offered as an explanation for time slips as well. Now, time slips happen to many people. They somehow stumble into a scene from a time long ago. It's a fascinating topic, and it's one in which is close to my heart as my dad experienced this. And I am planning to do a video on this very topic in the next few months, so stay tuned. Whatever the explanation, the truth is that many people are struggling to understand and control what's happening to them. My work and this focus of this channel is dedicated to help people to develop their psychic abilities. And this includes finding ways to control them and to make them work for you. And it also means helping people not to be afraid or embarrassed of their abilities. So let's look at how you can learn to embrace your precognition. So firstly, I want you not to be frightened by it. I've said many times that fear is not your friend. When we're in a state of fear, we're unable to think and act from a place of power. Now, I'm not saying that fear is not a very useful thing to have access to. Quite the opposite. Fear can literally save our life. What I am saying is that, fear can put us in a place of vulnerability where we literally are afraid to do anything or say anything. Fear can be debilitating. And when I say don't be frightened, I mean it. This is a wonderful, natural ability that you have, so embrace it. Secondly, know that you'll not be able to prevent everything from happening. Let go of the guilt. Your premonitions might help you to deal with the death of a loved one or a sad event. It's a pre-warning to prepare yourself. There's nothing that you can do to prevent it, but a little nudge to say it's coming can be helpful. And the same goes to large disasters. You can't ring up the country's president assuming you even know the country it is going to happen in or even when it's going to happen to warn them. If a premonition helps to keep you safe, don't feel guilty that somebody else might have been hurt or even worse. We all have this ability, and just because it's strong in you or you paid attention to it, it isn't anything to feel guilty about. So now to the activities that you can engage in to help you to develop, control this. Firstly, keep a dream journal. Every morning, write down the date and what you dreamt about in as much detail as you can. This activity has 3 benefits. So the first benefit is that you have a written record which is dated, and this helps you to check out the details of what you received in a dream against an event that actually happened. It's a way in which you can see how accurate your premonitions are. Now, nobody is going to be 100%, but there will be key features of the premonition that you can be confident that you did indeed receive and they happened. The second benefit is that you can start to look at themes and patterns. So is there something that you receive on a regular basis that means a particular thing? Is there a pattern to when you have these events, like times of the day? Do they come when you're napping in the afternoon or asleep in the evening? Are the days of week that you have these dreams? So maybe a Sunday night before you start the working week on a Monday, maybe that's your night. Even planetary activity might affect it. Another pattern to be aware of is your emotional state when you're having these dreams. So did you go to sleep happy, sad, or mad? And over time, you'll be able to look and see if there are any themes, and these will help you get some key insights into your ability. The third benefit of dream recording is I've found for some people the very act of writing dreams down, it stops them from having the same dream over and over and over again. It's a bit like you're saying to your subconscious or the universe, I've noted your message, it's all received and you can stop, so thank you. It really does work. The next activity you can do is to become aware of your feelings and thoughts in the moment. Now, this is a tough one, as for the most part, we don't live in the moment. We're constantly thinking about, things in the past or, planning for something in the future. We've really no time to think about the present. However, paying attention to thoughts and feelings and recording them, getting them down, it's a great way to understand what premonitions you are having, and again, look for patterns and themes. So I suggest keep a notebook handy, or better still, put your phone to work and use the voice memo function on it, and you can then transcribe them later, maybe that evening. And I would recommend transcribing them, as there's something about the very act of writing them down that allows you to explore things in a little bit more detail. So my next recommendation is meditate. Now, it wouldn't be one of my videos if I didn't throw in a plug for regular meditation. And I can't stress enough how important meditation is. It's a way in which you can train your mind to allow you to receive important information at the time of you meditating, and not perhaps when you're sleeping. If you create an opportunity for you to open your mind to receive a flow of consciousness, it should reduce the times when we have to receive this information in our dream state. The other thing that meditation does, it helps us to manage our stress. And stress can be a reason why we are hypersensitive to psychic information. It's a bit like our antenna is on high alert, picking up the vibrations and emotions of the world. You might find that when you start recording the times and the emotional states when you have precognitive dreams or some foreboding feelings, you see that this ability is most active at times of stress in your life. So taking steps like, proper diet, exercise, meditation, maybe even counseling should help you to reduce your stress, and in turn will help you to control your precognition. And finally, I would recommend you practice. Now, for those of you that want to rid yourself of this terrible affliction, you're probably shouting at the screen right now, why on earth would I want to practice something that I want to stop? Well, the reality is that it's not going to stop. It's a part of you. And if you think about it, stopping it will cut yourself off from something wonderful that can help you navigate your life. Now, practice is about developing it, but it's also about controlling it. Making it work for you will help you to feel more in control and less fearful. So how do you practice? Well, I think that my psychic development exercise videos are good ones to start. They're simple ways in which you can work your psychic muscles. Maybe even look for a psychic development circle or start your own. And if you're interested in starting your own circle, I will be uploading a video on my top tips on how to do this successfully. You can also test out your precognition by, predicting what's going to happen next during the day. How many cars are going to be stopped at the light? Who are you going to meet next? How many emails you're going to get in an hour? Letters that you're going to receive. The list is endless. And these games are great ways to practice, and it doesn't need you to take time out of your already busy day. So there you have it, top tips and a quick exploration into the world of precognition. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below, or you can email me directly and I will provide a link to my email in the description box. And if you want to see a video on a particular topic, let me know. Please do consider liking and subscribing to my channel for more content like this, and hit the bell so that you're notified when I upload a new video. So, ta-ta for now.